Welcome to the Wheels of Service podcast, where every turn tells a story. I am your host, Bwanaheri, and together we will explore the people, passion, and purpose behind Rotary and Rotaract. From local impact to global change, we will hear the journeys of service, leadership, and the power of community, all in one space. Get ready for the inspiring conversations, untold stories, and the real voices from the heart of Rotary. This is the Wheels of Service podcast. Today, I am delighted to have one of the most senior Rotarians in Uganda with me, and he's going to be chatting with me here and there, telling us a bit about our history and how we have grown as an organization. From humble beginnings as an organization over 100 years ago, Rotary has embraced a spirit of international collaboration. And in this episode, we'll be delving into the history of Rotary in Uganda, a nation where the power of service has truly transformed many communities in this country. Joining me is a distinguished guest, the most senior past district governor, Rotarian Nelson Kawalya from the Rotary Club of Bengo. PDG Nelson, you're most welcome.
Nice to be with you today, all of you, and wish you a good listening.
Thank you so much. I'm ready to learn. First, as the host of this podcast, I'm ready to learn because I listened to this story before anyone else. Before I break it out to the whole audience to know our discussions, how it was, and I'm sure that I'm going to be inspired with a lot of knowledge that very many people don't know about yet. Now, to start off, I want you to share a little bit about you so that people get to know who really Rotarian Nelson Kawalya is.
Well, let me start with how Rotary came to Uganda. Because Africa was one district at one time. And then District 920 had 13 countries of Africa. When Rotary came to Nairobi, Nairobi thought of expanding to Uganda. And in 1957, they started the first club in Uganda. That is the Rotary Club of Kampala, which started in 1957.
Yeah.
Since then, the other club was the Rotary Club of Kampala West.
Yeah.
A friend of mine invited me to Kampala West.
Yeah.
That was Rotarian past President James Selfosa. When he invited me to Kampala West, it was my first club to attend Rotary, and I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
But then, in 1966, we started, 86, sorry.
Yeah.
We started another club. That is the Rotary Club of Rubaga. And I became a charter member of the Rotary Club of Rubaga.
Yeah.
That's when the then RI President-elect, Sam Ori, took over the governorship in Madagascar.
Yeah.
I'm one of the people who accompanied him to Madagascar.
Yeah.
To get his governorship. In Madagascar, there are so many rich people there. But unfortunately, there are equally so many poor people in Madagascar.
Yeah.
Because you could be at a function and people will be waiting outside to beg for the food that is left over. We came out of Madagascar and DG Kawalya was prepared to make sure that we have so many clubs in Uganda.
Yeah.
By then, Uganda had 9 clubs. And we started clubs along with Governor Kawalya. We went around areas creating clubs. I was given the responsibility of starting the Rotary Club of Mengo.
Yeah.
And apparently Mengo became the 4th club in Kampala and the 10th club in Uganda. We were very happy with the progress that was being done.
Yeah.
And during the governorship of Kawalya, I remember 13 clubs in Uganda were started and chartered. That's when we started having expansion of Rotary in Uganda. And after many years, we had another governor, the late Henry Chamber.
Yeah.
He was a governor in 1996, 97. And you can see the gap. It's because we didn't have many Rotarians in Uganda who were prepared to take over as governors. And in 1997-98, that's when I became the governor in 6 countries.
Yeah. The 6 countries were?
Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Somalia. Although there was no club in Somalia, and Eritrea had only 1 club.
Okay.
Had only 1 club, but we were that big still, and we kept on that big until just recently, when we multiplied and we were given a district of Uganda, Tanzania, and Southern Sudan. Southern Sudan had joined in by then. So we are only 3 countries. But 2 years ago, more Rotarians came into the district, and more clubs came into the districts, especially in Uganda.
Yeah.
So we were divided into 2 districts. One was Uganda alone, the central and eastern and northern part of Uganda. Then the other part of Uganda in the central and western part of Uganda was joined to Tanzania. We are joined to Tanzania not because we couldn't make another district in Uganda. We could have made another strong district in Uganda. But we were joined with Tanzania because Tanzania was still weak. Tanzania, although it is such a large country, it still has about just 40 clubs. And not all 40 are strong clubs.
Okay.
The main strong clubs are in Arusha and Dar es Salaam, mainly. But in other areas, they're not as strong.
Yeah, I get.
So we were joined Uganda and Tanzania to become another district.
Okay.
At the moment, Uganda has its own district and another district, which is
Shared with Tanzania.
Shared by Uganda and Tanzania.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting history right there. And you've seen all this with all the time you've been in Rotary. In the early days, what were the challenges establishing Rotary clubs in Uganda? What are some of those challenges that we found in establishing Rotary clubs in Uganda?
Many people didn't know about Rotary. They thought that Rotary is for rich people.
Yeah.
Because clubs like Kampala and Kampala East were full of foreigners who were not Ugandans.
Yeah.
Secondly, from the reign of Idi Amin, we were not supposed to have presidents.
Yes.
We had honorary chairmen. While other countries had presidents, Rotarians in Uganda were wondering why they were not called president.
Yes.
So they were a little discouraged, thinking that this is a club for absolutely well-off people.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you one thing, that Rotary doesn't depend on the wealth of money. Money can buy a house, but cannot buy a home. Money can build so many things, but it cannot build peace.
Yeah.
Because in Rotary, we believe in peace throughout the world. And some of the things that we've done in Uganda, which one could envy, one, we had what was called, and it is still called Mwanamujimu. It is Rotary which started this organization, and together with the Mulago Hospital, where nutrients were started, we developed it. The malnourished children were well fed, and Rotary International spent a lot of money, over $4 million on this. Then it is Rotary that started the Uganda Heart Institute. The Uganda Heart Foundation was started by Rotarians because in Uganda we had so many heart problems, and we thought that it is in order that we start a Uganda Heart Institute. We also started it in Mulago Hospital. It is now called Uganda Heart Institute. And it's the only place in Uganda where they can do open heart surgery. And many, especially children, have been operated in Mulago Hospital in the Uganda Heart Institute. Even elders. I myself had treatment in Mulago over my heart. Then Rotary saw that there was only one blood bank in Uganda, and it was an old one. People were dying because of blood. It had been started in the colonial days, and it wasn't serving sufficiently enough to the Ugandans. So the Uganda Blood Bank, the Rotary Blood Bank, was started in Mengo Hospital, and it is there. When we had problems over other diseases, we came in to try and save our people, like cancer. We understood that the cancer machines in Mulago Hospital had broken down. And we came out and said, but why don't we start a cancer ward? And we got space in Zambia Hospital. So we started working on it. Money has been coming both from Rotary Foundation, but mainly from people in Uganda, because we've started the cancer walk, call it cancer run. And almost everybody in Uganda has been participating, contributing however little they can towards the cause. Towards the cause. Because they know that if we don't fight cancer, it will be such a terrible thing.
That's very true.
One thing that Rotary globally did was to start immunizing children against polio. And this was started after realizing that we can get rid of polio. And Philippines had the highest cases of polio. They approached Rotary International to help them. Rotary International agreed just to go and assist.
Yeah.
But it was found out later, after 10 years, that polio in Philippines had vanished. There was no new polio case in Philippines. That's when Rotary International decided that we can get rid of polio out of the world. In 1985, the campaign was started. Rotary International approached the World Health Organization for assistance. The World Health Organization thought that this wasn't possible. So they told Rotary International that if you think you can work on this, please contribute $120 million. So the campaign was started in 1985 to raise $120 million. And I'm happy to say that by 1988, and it was during the convention in Philadelphia, that Rotary came out and announced, because we had been given only 5 years to raise the 120. But in 3 years, Rotary International had raised $240 million.
Wow.
Doubling what was required. Then the World Health Organization realized that Rotary was serious. And they joined in the campaign. The campaign started. There were 127 countries suffering from polio.
Yeah.
Uganda happened to be one of them. I'm glad to inform all of you that out of the 127 countries, there are only 2 countries left. And the 2 countries left is Pakistan and Afghanistan. It is Pakistan and Afghanistan because there are problems there.
Yeah.
And people are fighting. So immunization can't be carried out everywhere. But other countries, including Uganda, got rid of polio. In the last 10 years, more than 10 years, by the way, we haven't had any new polio case in Uganda.
That's amazing.
And we think Rotary International is trying its best to make sure that Pakistan and Afghanistan are also catered for. And I think there won't be any more polio in those countries. Let's see. Let's wait and see. Give it about 5 to 10 years. Polio might be got rid of into the whole world. But I want to warn that we can't get rid of polio throughout the world unless polio is got rid of everywhere in the world. Because people do travel.
Yeah, sure.
And sometimes we get minor cases in our country, even in Uganda. We get not so serious case of polio in the country because once polio is anywhere, it is everywhere.
Yes, very true.
So we must continue immunizing our children against polio so that polio doesn't come back in the country. There are so many other things that has been, but while I was still on polio, I was put on the polio committee and we started moving around. I remember going to places like Nigeria where they had refused to immunize their children. They were hiding them in certain areas. But when some of us went, talked to them, because they thought that maybe it is the Americans or Europeans trying to
eliminate the black race.
Yes, eliminate the black race. But when they saw some of us, they started getting their children out of their beds and brought them for immunization. That one I can remember very well.
I think I witnessed that in Uganda. I think should have been around 1997. I was still young in school. I must have been around primary 2.
Yeah.
But I remember whites came. I think it must have been Rotary somehow. They came to school to immunize pupils.
That's right.
And then before they even started, parents started pouring into these schools. They started coming in. They came to our school and every parent was picking their kids saying that they have come to kill their children.
Exactly. Yeah. But Uganda wasn't as bad as Nigeria. In Uganda, when we came in and started talking to people about polio and how we are going to get rid of it, they started listening, because I remember very well, especially here in Uganda, when I started the campaign, they had refused to bring out their children. And I got on to Sawasajja, and he started immunizing his own children. That's when they said, since Sawasajja can immunize his own children, then the immunization isn't bad. So they brought out their children. And when I started, the immunization coverage was just 15%. But by the time I left, it was 93%.
Wow.
Yes, 93%, which means that they listened and they appreciated what we were doing.
How difficult was it to convince Ugandan parents by then that it was important for them to accept this white man vaccination?
As I've said, I first convinced Sawasajja.
The Sawasajja.
And when Sawasajja got convinced, he started giving the drop on the children. And they knew Sawasajja wasn't there to kill them.
Yeah. So we can attribute the acceptance of the vaccination to the influence of the Sawasajja, the people in Uganda. Wow, that's very important.
And other areas copied the example from here, and they also started immunizing the children.
Wow.
I was lucky because I worked, although I was the minister then of health in the Uganda government.
In the Uganda government,
But I used to collaborate with the government And they gave me these facilities to go even outside Uganda to go and convince the people. And the key word was even Sabasajja in Uganda is immunizing the children. Yes.
Earlier on, you talked about the stereotype, which even now still exists, about Rotary being a clique of very rich people. And you said clearly that it's not. It's not about the money. How was it easy or difficult? How did you go about it convincing Ugandans to start joining these Rotary clubs that were filled with whites only, mostly foreigners?
Well, as Rotary is, it's by invitation.
Yeah.
We started inviting our friends, and our friends were convinced that Rotary is good. Few as we were, we remembered that Rotary International has started a club for the youth, the Rotractors. The Rotractors had done tremendously well to inform people about Rotary.
Yeah.
And when they see these young ones doing Rotary work, many people do appreciate.
Yeah.
And it's true because for some of us, we are getting old and weak. There are certain things we can't do.
Yeah.
Which the youth can do energetically. So when the youth came in as Rotractors, they started going around, forming clubs. There are now so many clubs. About how many?
There are about 300 clubs in Uganda alone,
300 clubs in Uganda
clubs
alone.
Yeah.
You see, and 300 clubs, say, multiply by 50 members. Some of the clubs are as large as 80 members in a club.
Clubs that have 80 members, yes.
Yeah, but let's take the average of 50. 50 times 300. That's 150 young men and ladies. Yeah, going around. When you add on the Rotarians, we have almost equal number of clubs, if not a little more, in Uganda.
I'm not so sure about the exact numbers of Rotary clubs in Uganda right now.
You find that we are almost 10,000 people moving around the country and giving services. Because some of the services we give are very touching. We distribute desks to the schools, especially the schools where we find that they're sitting on the ground, sitting on the bricks, roofing roofs of the schools. We are providing clean water, giving boreholes, and making sure that even our local wells are given the pipe so that the people and animals don't drink on the same water. I remember going to Bundibujo, and we found that there was plenty of water up on the hill flowing down. But as it was flowing down, people were collecting water to cook their food and have water to drink. At the same time, in the river, people were cleaning themselves, having bath in the river. Not only that, they were washing their clothes in the river. And we found it very absurd. So we approached Rotary International, and Rotary International gave us advisors and finances to make sure that we provide clean water. So we built a dam up on the hill, and we put pipes from the dam coming down. So now the river, the animals are still drinking in it. Some people are still having bath in it. Some people are still washing their clothes in it.
Down there.
But down, we have pipes right from the dam, and people in the townships there are having clean water. It's not only that, but we do engage people in farming so that they can get food for themselves. And on water, we've been providing tanks in schools, in hospitals, health clinics, and in various religious places so that people can have clean water. In health, we can't say much about that because we've been going around the countryside, especially where there are no hospitals, and giving treatment to people free of charge. There's a lot, especially here in Uganda, that we're doing. Clubs outside, like in the United States and Europe, don't have those projects.
Yeah.
Because the government is taking care of all that. And you find that clubs in the United States and Europe, their main projects are a garden of flower and such things. So they're also very interested as Rotarians to make sure that they help club in the developing countries.
Oh,
yeah.
We found these districts already existing for us, the young ones, and I'm sure most of the Rotarians out there. How did the Rotary district formation come about in Uganda at the time, the early days? How was the structure and how was it established so that to make sure that every club knew what was supposed to be done?
Well, districts are formed according to the number of clubs. As I said, at one time, Africa was one district.
Was one district, yes.
But then we came on dividing districts, creating new districts because of the clubs. When I was the district governor, as I said, we had 6 countries. And these 6 countries, I had just over 100 clubs. And it was very difficult for me moving around each club. Because in a country like Eritrea, there was only one club. And apparently there was only one flight every week. So going to Eritrea meant that I had to be in Eritrea for that one club.
For a whole week.
For the whole week. Imagine, I was working then.
Yeah.
Imagine, I had excused myself from work for 1 year. But imagine spending one whole day, one whole week in a country where there is only one club.
One club. Which means it's only once in a week.
Yeah. It was a little unfair for me. And it turned me into a tourist.
But also helped you see other countries and learn something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But then we're seeing only one club every day. Imagine going throughout 6 countries, seeing one club every day. And some of the countries had over 30 clubs.
Yeah.
So that's being there for one whole week.
Yeah.
It could be only 1 week. But then a large country like Tanzania, you can't move from Dar es Salaam up to Arusha and be able to meet another
club.
You have to fly there and stay a night there. And the following day, you meet
a club.
You meet a club.
Yeah.
So even in Ethiopia, it was equally the same. You find that you spent so many months on a visiting clubs.
Oh, no.
That's why it is good that if a country has many clubs, it should have a district of its own.
So that the leadership is not strained having to move across
exactly
the continent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I fancy people in Uganda, because if a district governor is from Kampala and you have to visit a club like Gulu, you can always go to Gulu that very day.
Yeah.
You meet the club, you stay there with them overnight, and the following day
next morning
come
you're back to Kampala.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. You talked about quite a number of projects, from Mwanamujimu to the Uganda Heart Institute. You talked about Cancer Institute and the fight we've had as Rotary in Uganda against cancer. Very many. Blood bank.
Yes.
For you, what project has Rotary in Uganda undertaken that has made you feel proud of being part of this organization?
I feel proud, not only on those big projects that have been done, but all Rotarians. But I feel proud that if you meet a club and it gives desks to students who have been sitting down on the floor, I really feel great. Because there is no student who should sit down on the floor.
On the floor, true.
No. No. So there are so many projects that I feel are beneficial to our country. Yeah.
I know that much as we've had these very many successes, they come with their own challenges. What have been some of the challenges you've seen in your time in Rotary when it comes to the leadership and growth of Rotary in the country?
It is mainly membership. Because if we've got so many hands, we can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But imagine out of the 48 million Ugandans, we are just less than 10,000 Rotarians are detractors. Imagine if we're just 10%
of the Ugandan population.
There are many areas that we can't reach, which need help. We can't reach them because we are few. A country which is as big as Uganda, South Korea, has got over 20 million Rotarians. Why?
Wow.
Because they feel they can do something for their country.
Yeah.
But why can't Uganda? Why don't Ugandans come to realize that and make sure that in almost every Gombola there is a Rotary Club so that it can look after the affairs of that
community?
Yeah, of that community.
I was discussing with someone a few weeks ago, and he was sharing about the history of Rotary Plate and told me that the late PDG Sam Ori
President-elect.
Yes.
RI
President-elect, yes. Came up with a strategy of using mayors back then when he was district governor to establish Rotary clubs. Do you think that is something that can still be done in this day and age? What was the successes using the mayors?
I was in his group, and we agreed that we should reach all parts of Uganda. All parts, not just few parts, but all parts of Uganda. But it's not that easy. Especially when you come to politicians. Thinking of
what's in it for me?
Whereas in Rotary, you go to pay to serve.
To serve, yes.
You pay to serve society. And many people don't want that. we have to change their mindset.
Yeah.
And make sure that they actually come in to pay and serve.
Someone can actually attribute the failure to establish Rotary clubs in rural areas to the dues, the Rotary International dues. They believe that maybe some people in these rural areas are just working for the bare minimum to feed themselves and their families. How can we help these people understand that they can actually do it? Is it really something that can be done? Because when I look around Rotary clubs, the cheapest could be around maybe $150 for a whole Rotary year. That's about 700,000 or 500, let's say. For some families, that is hard. Someone who would want to serve, what would they do? Because I've heard of Rotary Community Corps. How do we go about it to make sure that we still grow and make sure even people in these villages who think they can't afford Rotary International dues can put a brick on this foundation called Rotary?
Personally, I'm sure that in every village, we can form a club.
Yeah.
A club of 30, 40 people to make sure that the things that are necessary for that village are looked after. Why? Because in every village, you find in the evening, bars are full.
Yeah.
And each person takes about 2 beers. How much is a beer?
I'm thinking around 5,000. In the villages should be around between 3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, let's call it 3,000.
Yeah.
In the village. 2 beers is 6,000.
Yeah.
6,000 times 30 is how much?
That's about 120, if I'm not mistaken.
180.
80.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it is 180, how many dollars is that?
Should be around $45.
$45.
Yeah.
45
roughly.
45 times 10? That's $450.
$450, yes.
Yes. In a year, they drink, let's say, $500.
In a year.
It's more than that because it's about 540.
Yeah.
Let's say they drink about $400.
Okay.
Let's divide that in half. They drink about $250. Why can't they afford 150 for the whole year? Because 150 is for the whole year.
Yeah.
Just by saving what they're drinking every day. And I just counted on 2 bottles. But as you know, as you're aware, they drink more than 4 bottles every day.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. Why can't they have? Because they don't put value to mankind. I wish they were putting value to mankind. That would have been nothing to them. It would have been absolutely nothing to them.
Another challenge would be, people in the villages thinking maybe it's because Rotary International is affiliated with the English language and it becomes a barrier. I think it should be an issue of us as Rotarians and Rotaractors talking to these people and informing them that it's actually allowed to establish a club that speaks your local language.
Let's go to Rotary Convention. There are 16 languages translated when you go to a Rotary Convention.
Yeah.
It's not only English. When you go to China, there are Rotary clubs there. But they don't speak in English at all. I went to South Korea and I attended fellowships in few clubs there. They were not speaking in English. they are speaking in their local languages.
Yeah.
I went to India. Likewise, they were talking both in English and in their local languages.
Yeah.
Why can't we in Uganda hold Rotary meetings in our local languages? Of course, there's already a few clubs here, but especially in Kampala, a club like Ulangi. They speak in
Uganda.
In Uganda. But why can't other areas form clubs in their local languages? The problem would be when a governor doesn't come from that area, how would he speak to the people? But I think he can get a translator from the club.
From the club.
Yeah. Who can translate from
English to the local language.
To the local language. So language shouldn't be
an issue.
No, it shouldn't be an issue.
I think now the focus should be on establishing, just like now we are having a call to establish cause-based clubs. We should also establish clubs that actually speak languages from where they come from.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's in Busia, it should be Rusami. If in Karamoja, Karamojong.
Yeah. And there's nothing to stop us from doing that. Absolutely nothing to stop us from doing that. Yeah. We can always stop in our local language.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Rotary has always benefited from collaborations over time. I'm imagining back then when you just joined and you also became DG, how easy was it to convince local organizations, companies to come on board and work with Rotary to eliminate challenges in communities?
Apparently, companies, when talked to, they would like to do that.
Yeah.
They would love to do that. And they've been doing it. They've been even supporting our conferences by giving in something. And you would find that big hotels like the Munyonyo Hotel, they give discount to Rotarians when they go there for a conference.
Yeah.
A room which would have costed $200, they give it out for $100 to the Rotarians who go there for the conferences, which I think is quite good for us. And I wish we could approach many of these companies. But the companies we've approached so far have come in to participate in our undertakings.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
I'm very happy about that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, I want to hear your personal story in Rotary. Earlier we were talking before we started recording, and you were telling me how you were shocked when you were told that you're going to become the DG then. How was it? How was the appointment being done to become DG back then? And how different is it from how we go about it right now?
By then, it was a club sending in a member to compete with the other members. But I was lucky. I was shocked, as I told you, because we were dividing the district.
Yeah.
And ours was the new district, although it took on the district of 9200. But then it was getting new. Out of 9 countries, we were to become 5 countries. As I said, because of number of Rotarians and clubs, that's when we break up the district and form another one.
Yeah.
But then they sat down, all the governors, past governors, and said, now we're having another district. What do we do with that district? Who are going to be the governors in that district? Because there was no time for them, because we nominate a governor 3 years before he becomes the governor.
The governor, yes.
So that they start preparing themselves. And they started thinking of how they are going to have the governors. I was fortunate because I was very active by then, and I had represented so many governors here in Uganda for many years. And all they thought about was Nelson Kawalya. And that's how they sat down and said Nelson Kawalya should become the governor. I wasn't there, of course, and they hadn't told me.
Yeah.
As soon as I went, the governor then rang me up and said, "Congratulations." I said, "On what?" Said, "You are going to be a governor." Said, "What?" But I didn't put it in my name. They said, that's okay. Even if you didn't put in your name, you'll still be the governor.
The powers that be had decided.
So I accepted.
Were you ready for it?
Yeah. Yes.
By that time?
Oh, yes, I think I was, because I was moving around with the governors then.
You had learned from them.
And I had learned from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I've had some challenges. The main challenge I had when I was on the Polio Plus committee, we went to Angola. While in Angola, we went in a certain area. And the driver told us that there are so many landmines in this area. But you move slowly and we'll make sure that we go through them. So I knew that anytime we can land on a landmine and we'll be blown up.
Yeah. Must have been scary.
But the man was very careful and he knew his way. He drove slowly. For about 10 miles, we went through that area. But eventually, he announced that we are through the area and there's no problem here.
Wow. I can imagine the tension throughout that journey.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We never talked to each other. We were about 6 in the car. Never talked. We were all that time expecting something to happen.
And praying.
Yes. But praying that it doesn't happen. So that's the main challenge I've ever had in Rotary.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about the high?
Yeah.
Your best highs in Rotary over the years?
Yeah. Well, when I represented the Allied president on 3 different district conferences. One in Nigeria, one in Benin, one in Cameroon. 4 and one in Congo Brazzaville.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to such places, representing an Allied president, and you know that in those areas, you are the president of Rotary.
Rotary International. Wow. I can imagine.
Yes.
That must have been nice.
Yeah, it was nice representing him. But there are so many other things, as I said. When you're the governor, you go through different clubs, seeing different projects. And you feel good that at least something's being done to the community.
The community, seeing the impact.
Yeah, seeing the impact on the communities. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Earlier, you kept on referring to the late Rotary International President-elect, Summer Warwick.
Yes.
I don't know how soon or when we shall ever get an opportunity for you to maybe have a tribute and talk about him, but shortly, what kind of person was he?
In short, he was the chairman of Uganda Commercial Bank.
Yeah.
And I happened to be the producing marketing manager of Uganda Tea Authority. And we were in the same building. For him, they used to wait for a lift for him to take him out.
Yeah.
But whenever I was around, he would invite me because we knew each other at All Saints Church.
Yeah.
As church people. So he used to call me, and we used to move in the lift together with him. He used to be a very humble person.
Yeah.
Very nice, very intelligent, very hardworking, and whatever he touched, not only in Rotary, but even in Uganda Commercial Bank, I would put all his efforts on making sure that the thing work out as he wishes, as
it should.
The community would like to see it done. And he gave his entire life in making sure that he leaves this world better than how he found it. And that's how he rose to the rank of being a president-elect. As a matter of fact, when he passed away, the following year, he was going to be the president of Rotary International, the second black African to be a president of Rotary International. And as I mentioned earlier, when he started his governorship in this district, there were 9 countries.
Yeah.
He made sure that there's growth in membership, development.
Yeah.
And he made sure that there were projects worth talking about.
Yeah.
Not only in Uganda, but in the whole district. Uganda was lacking quite a lot because we are lagging behind. And we are few, very few of us. Less than 150 members in the whole of Uganda.
Yeah.
And he took it upon himself that Rotary must grow in Uganda. And indeed it did. Indeed it did. And that's the type of man we're talking about now.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult finding a man like him. And he never campaigned for anything for himself. They were just appointing him because of his legacy and his hard working. Yeah. Yes. That's how he became a director of Rotary International, a trustee of Rotary Foundation, and then president nominee of Rotary International, and president-elect of Rotary International. Yeah, there was only one step left for him. Yeah. And then, unfortunately, he didn't live to get that post. Yes.
May his soul continue resting in peace. Yes. It's very touching hearing what you say about him. I think, only met him once. Okay, let me say, talked to him once when I was still a student and a member of the Rotary Club of Kampala University, because his wife was a member of the Rotary Club of Gaba.
Yes, he was.
So he used to frequent the Rotary Club of Gaba. And that's right. One day I engaged him and he was telling me, you can invite me to your Rotary Club at the university. I want to come and talk to young people. Yeah, when you talk about him being humble, I remember that time. All right, thank you so much. What a man he was, but what a man you are yourself. Because I've attended events where you've been a guest of honor. Last year, you were the guest of honor at the installation of the Rotary Club of Gaba.
Oh, yeah.
And I was the MC of that installation.
I remember that very well.
Yes, and then there's the MC there. And every time you were in an audience, they always keep saying, that is the most senior Rotarian here. Hey, that's the most senior Rotarian here. And it's not just because you're just senior that you've been here for a long time and you've seen the Rotary fraternity grow, but also because of your influence and the impact you've had on the growth of Rotary in Uganda.
I'm glad to hear it from the people like you.
They really speak so highly of you, and that's why when I was looking for people who can tell this story, I couldn't look any farther. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and it's been a very interesting conversation.
My pleasure.
I hope that sometime we can still find some more time to talk about more things Rotary in the future.
Anytime.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Wheels of Service podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Keep the wheel turning. Tell your story. Serve your world.